From Lagos, Nigeria, this is News Central. I'm Felicity Ezewike. Top stories tonight. Borno State Governor raises concern over infiltration of foreign terrorists in the northeast. Federal High Court sitting in Port Harcourt bars Rivers State sole administrator from appointing heads of local government areas. 58 Palestinians killed in latest attacks on Gaza as Israel leader orders closure of 6 schools in occupied Jerusalem.
In business, Nigeria's external debt servicing obligations hit $1.08 billion in fourth quarter of 2024, a significant rise from previous quarter.
And in sport, curtain falls on Uyo as first edition of Niger Delta Sports Festival ends, with Bayelsa State topping the medals table.
Tonight begins now. Many thanks for joining us. We begin tonight in Nigeria's northeast. The state of Borno. The governor there, Babagana Zulum, has raised concern over the rising threat of foreign terrorists infiltrating Nigeria, specifically through Borno. The governor also raised alarm about the transfer of high-level military equipment from the northeast to other regions, making the northeast vulnerable. My colleague Umaru Kirawa completes the story.
The battle for peace building in the insurgency-ravaged northeast Nigeria is continuing. Reversal of gains in the counter-insurgency effort is what the northeast is witnessing, with increasing sporadic attacks on resettled communities. A cause of concern as Borno State government convenes high-level security meeting with traditional leaders and security agencies.
Naturally, the Northeast is now standing alone. No attention will be receiving from the Ministry of Defense in terms of equipment and others. While we are saying we appreciate them, this is time that they should also give us a listening ear. Otherwise, the security situation in Borno State has started deteriorating. And it is our own duty to inform the federal government of the dangerous inherent in what is recently been happening in the state. A lot of foreign insurgents are coming into Nigeria. So if nothing is being done, the state will be in turmoil again. I believe the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria will not accept this one.
Abadam, Marte, Kuzamala local government areas in northern Borno, among other selected communities in both central and southern Borno, remain largely inaccessible due to the presence of terrorists.
Our government will continue to support our defense and security agencies while pushing them to perform better in encountering terrorism, insurgency, and criminality.
All these problems were masterminded, brought, and injected by settlers. By settlers in the sense that they used to come to Borno in disguise to acquire primary education, to acquire western education, Arabic education, local business, etc.
The stakeholders' call for military action comes at a critical time, as several attacks have resulted in casualties and significant destructions. While discussion is still ongoing on how to strategize towards addressing the rising security concerns in the northeast, urgent and deliberate efforts are needed to safeguard lives and properties as well as forestall future security vulnerabilities. In Maiduguri for News Central, Umaru Kirawa.
Many thanks, Kirawa. Joining me for some experts analysis, our former Army spokesman, retired Brigadier General Sani Usman, as well as youth activist Muhammad Bukar. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. I'll begin with you, Brigadier General, sir. The claim the governor has made, to what extent is this a national security concern?
Good evening, and thank you for having me on the program. I think it is not just the governor. Every other Nigerian is concerned about the recent happening in the Northeast, particularly in view of the fact that there were 3 attacks in Wajirko, in Sabongari, Dambuwa local government, and Wulgo in Barungala, as well as Isgi in Goza local government area. And yes, because there is a kind of nexus or relationship between security and development. I can understand the governor is trying to bring about meaningful development to the people, and that cannot be possible if the environment is not scared. But we tend to forget one thing. Since 2016, when this faction of the Boko Haram terrorist group, or insurgent group, so to speak, laid allegiance with ISIS, and given the resilient nature of these violent extremists, they won't give up. So the best thing is to also be ahead of them. And more so, the worrying thing is that there is a new dimension, the use of technology, even on the part of insurgents, the use of armed drones to carry out these attacks. Unlike in those days that they will use, suicide bombers or vehicle-borne improvised explosive devices and what have you. So they have upped the game. But the most worrisome, again, is the infiltration of the foreigners into. Although we have had instances, even when I was in the service, when we have had instances, we had foreign fighters. But this time around, it's not just issue of foreign fighters coming with technology and all the rest, but there is the upscale of the war economy system, in the sense that there are so many other people that are benefiting from this conflict as such. So it is not surprising that we are seeing its escalation. And you cannot divorce it. And I'm so happy the governor made reference to it in isolation with the international geopolitical happenings within, especially the West Africa or the Sahelian region. Take, for instance, our relationship with some of our, neighboring countries, the, back and forth in respect of international joint tax force and what have you. And if you look at what is happening, especially in some parts of African countries, thank God that we have had semblance of kind of development in the Sudan, which acts as a buffer zone. Now you can, they purchase arms at will and all the rest. So there are no more buffer zones, and these guys take and do advantage of it to come down to Nigeria. So basically, if we are talking about national security, it has grievous implications to national security, not just Borno State or Northeast Nigeria, because the military or the security forces have done marvelously well, and we are now experiencing some semblance of setback. Even those who are familiar with the environment will understand that it is at the fringes of the military deployment. Take, for instance, when you talk about Wulgo, if you look at RAN and all the rest of them, it is a bit far away and all the rest of, but that is not an excuse. I think it's more or less like a wake-up call on all the people that are concerned, the military itself, and including the government. To what extent are they improving the equipment and the logistic holding of the military, especially vis-a-vis this issue of technology as against the equipment holding we have had. You remember when they infused the T-72 tanks and all the rest, they were kind of a watershed or a turning point to the fight against terrorism and insurgency in the Northeast. But now the issue of use of technology is the intent. So we have to. And about that, we have to also take advantage.
We'll come to that because the governor. We'll come to that because the governor actually alluded to that, and I'm going to ask you specifically about it. But I want to bring in Mr. Mohammed Buka and just ask quickly, for a while, 3 years perhaps, there's been some relative peace in Borno, except some isolated cases. What could have gone wrong that would warrant the governor to literally cry out?
Yeah, actually, I think what's became a problem is for us to be able to sustain the relative peace that we got over the 3 years. And I see much has to be done in the aspect of, youth empowerment, try to, build up this youth's capacity for them to be able to not, go and regroup with these insurgents again. When you look at it, they will be able to get, a kind of connection with the teeming youths that are in all these villages that are willing to join them again, because some don't have food to feed on, they don't have business to do, and they were not properly educated, or they were not properly trained to be so resilient with this present economic situation. So a lot of youths are now getting to meet them and regroup with them, take their training, take their doctrine to reattack the vulnerable communities in this
so you're saying that some of these are as a result of hunger, not more about any kind of ideology?
Yes, most definitely. Definitely.
Something has to be done about that, like you said.
Idleness.
All right, let's come back to you, Brigadier. You were trying to get on to the issue of tech, and I had to pause you to bring in Mr. Booker. But let's talk about that. The governor did say that he is concerned that equipment, high-level military equipment from the Northeast is being moved to other regions. Is there validity to this allegation that the governor has made? And if it is true, what needs to be done quickly?
Well, I cannot say, because I'm not in the military. I think it's left for the military to say whether actually they are shortchanging the Northeast in favor of other geopolitical zones, particularly possibly the Northwest. And whatever, be it as it may, I think the whole idea is that even in the Northwest, they are complaining bitterly in respect of this issue of equipment. So, but I think it's left for them to answer. But the most important thing here is that how do we mitigate the security challenges vis-a-vis the so-called the rising attacks in the Northeast, and of course other parts of the country, as it were. And I have mentioned the issue of the use of technology, because the criminal elements or the terrorists now, they have affected the use of technology. Particularly, it is not just reconnaissance drones. Now they use armed drones. Who get them these armed drones? And who train them? Where do they get these foreigners that train them? Because so these are questions that we are going to ask. Right now, some foreigners have been arrested from not even from African continent. How do they even come into this country? Of course, we have borders. I don't think they might have come legitimately and all the rest. So these are questions that we need to ask. And anyway, poverty is no excuse for crime. And we cannot in any way discontinent the issue of ideology. And I made reference to the fact that they are very, very resilient, in the sense that they just believe that to them they are fighting in the name of God. So there is every likelihood that factor will still be ingrained in them. But that notwithstanding, just like Booker has mentioned, also we have to look at this issue, because any time you see security challenges is a failure of governance. So we have to improve the socio-economic well-being of the average youth or the Nigerian society, as it were, particularly the youth, who constituted over 67% of the total population of this country and various parts of this country, not just in the Northeast or Borno State, as it were. So it's a kind of multifaceted thing. It is not just, well, you are trying to address the equipment holding shortage of the military or the security forces. We have to also see how best we can have constructive engagement. I know Borno State is doing very well, because I know the Borno example, initiative where they have packages for them, integrating all these people. But that notwithstanding, we have to also look at our relationship with our immediate neighbors. The issue of geopolitics is coming into play. More so, you look at the relationship of ECOWAS and back and forth now with the French and all the rest, Mali, Niger, and what have you. These are issues that we have to take into consideration. The use balls, the equipment, and of course geopolitics.
From what you're saying, it is hydra-headed and needs to be tackled from all fronts. But let's go back to Mr. Booker and just ask, what can be done, rather, from a multi-stakeholder standpoint to restore the gains that Borno State had made against insecurity in recent years, pending when these hydra-headed issues are taken on?
I think the Borno State government has to, step up with their, stakeholders engagement. They have to, improve how they communicate with the, traditional rulers. They have to improve how they communicate with their youth groups and the youth leaders that are within Borno State and the local governments. Let there be a very good communication. Then let there be some kind of skill acquisition. Yes, a lot have been done so far, but I believe what these young people need is a very good startup grant for them to be able to, sustain themselves and their families. Without that, I don't think we're going to be able to control this ticking time bomb, because like a few weeks ago, there was an attack inside Maiduguri Metropolis. Yes, somewhere behind the teaching hospital of Maiduguri. Some, element of the Boko Haram came, and they're also hungry from the bushes. So when they came, they had to, convert all the people living around this place to bring out all the foodstuffs they have in their houses. They carted away with their foodstuffs, you understand. So if they can have this kind of infiltration into the city, you understand, without, them being caught or them being curtailed, I think they have a free right to do whatever thing they want to do inside the capital city. So we have to tighten up our belts. Let's have a lot of engagements, sensitization and a lot of other things. And all these things we need to support from the national government also, to come up with a lot of programs for these youth empowerment and skills acquisition.
All right, Brigadier General, in 1 minute, if you can, long-term strategies for ensuring sustainable security in Borno and other parts, not just in the interim.
I think you have to look at where we were coming from, way back from 2009 to date. What are those things that we have been doing? And basically, the fight against terrorism and insurgency was predicated on three things. First, you have to deal with the insurgents and make room for humanitarian activities. Then, of course, the third aspect is bring in, to ensure that law and order. There is limit to which the military will do. That means at the same time when you are fighting, you are programming other components of Nigerian society to take over. To what extent have we been doing so? Borno State has been doing marvelously all by itself. What are the level of support does it get from the federal government? These are the issues. And of course, the military alone cannot do it, or the security forces. So it's a collective responsibility. So when you are talking about long term, and I'm so happy with this constructive engagement with the components of the Borno State. But of course, Borno State should know that they cannot work in isolation. Therefore, they have to work with their counterparts in Yobe and other northeastern states. And beyond that, of course, the neighboring countries of Chad, Niger, and Cameroon, so that how best they can. Because some of these issues, take for instance, especially the attacks around Goza, Ulka, and all the rest of them, these guys are somewhere in between Cameroon and Nigeria on top of the Mandara Mountains. So to what extent have we constructively engaged our neighboring Cameroon? And of course, to what extent are we equipping our Air Force so that it can deal decisively with these people, hibernating on top of those mountains? These are the issues. So it's a collective thing, and if you are thinking of a long-time program, these are the things that you have to consider. Of course, I'm not discounting the issue of, addressing the youth boldness, especially in that part of the country. Take, for instance, yes, like you made reference to it, but most importantly, it is not just about the youth. There is a conspiracy of silence among the
I would love to hear you continue, but we're time constrained, so we have to say thank you very much for speaking with us. We appreciate the insight that both of you have provided for us tonight.
But
coming up, defamation trial of rights activist Omoyele Sowore adjourned. We'll tell you more when we come back. Stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. A reminder of our top stories. Borno State Governor Babagana Zulum raises concern over infiltration of foreign terrorists in the northeast. Federal High Court sitting in Port Harcourt bars River State sole administrator from appointing heads of local government areas. 58 Palestinians killed in latest attacks on Gaza as Israel leader orders closure of 6 schools in occupied Jerusalem. We're glad you're still with us. Let's bring you one of our headline stories tonight. A federal high court in Port Harcourt has barred the River State sole administrator from appointing heads to run the 23 local council areas of the state. The order was issued on Tuesday, April the 8th, 2025 by the Justice Adamu Turaki Muhammed in a case filed by PILEX Centre for Civic Education Initiative led by Courage Nsiri-mo-vu against the sole administrator in his official capacity. They also prayed for any other order deemed necessary in the circumstances. The judge said he found enough reason to grant the prayers and fixed April the 14th, 2025 for hearing. The defamation trial of rights activist Omoyele Sowore has been adjourned to June the 24th, 2025. This follows the appearance of a prosecution witness presented by the counsel to the Inspector General of Police. The witness, a superintendent of police attached to the force headquarters, told the court he has been monitoring Sowore's social media activities since December 2024. Now, according to him, Sowore repeatedly referred to the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, as an illegal IGP. Counsel to Sowore requested an adjournment to allow time for cross-examination of the witness, which was granted by the presiding judge, Justice Musa Lehman.
The witness for 10 minutes said, oh, we saw a social media post that says the IG is illegal. That's all. And that they asked him to go and monitor, that Muyiwa asked him to go and be monitoring my post. Is it a crime to post on social media that an IG that has already expired is illegal? He's occupying the office illegally. That was why the judge himself was saying, why don't we respond? But we are not here to respond. We are told him this is all rubbish. This case ought not to have come before a court, but we know what they are doing. They are all in bed together. The judiciary, the police, the legislative arm of Nigeria, they are all in bed together to deny our people justice. How can anybody have confidence in the judiciary? Don't you know that this same court here tried me for 5 years for treason, an offense that I never committed, and one day they came to court and said, we are sorry. They didn't even say we are sorry. They withdrew the charges after 5 years. But they wasted 5 years of my life. They detained me in this Abuja by a court order for 3 years. 3 years. Received my passport for 5 years. That is the same thing they are doing now. So how can I have confidence in the court that couldn't tell at that time, at the beginning of that farcical trial, that this was not improper? The judge should have known that there's no case here. He should have thrown the case out from day one.
It was a promise fulfilled as Meccano Motors hosted the official handover ceremony of a brand new car to the newly crowned 45th Miss Nigeria, lawyer and model Doris Oga. New Central's correspondent Israel Iferobo was there and completes the story.
It was a day of glitz, glamour and gratitude at the Mikano Motor Showroom in Lagos as the newly crowned 45th Miss Nigeria, Doris Olga, officially received the keys to a brand new Shogun Edo Plus. The luxury sedan isn't just a prize, it's the start of a new journey, one that marks the beginning of a powerful partnership between Mikano Motors, Shogun, and the Miss Nigeria pageant.
The legacy of Miss Nigeria is not just about beauty, it's about strength, intelligence, and leadership. We believe that this platform can mold the future of female leaders in our country.
I'm truly confident and believe through the hard efforts by Chang'an and Mikano Motors, today we can see more and more Chang car running on the street in Nigeria.
And we thank Chang'an for contributing the car to our beautiful lady with us here, Doris.
The Edo Plus, with its slick design and cutting-edge technology, reflects the values of excellence and innovation, qualities that Mikano says mirrors the character of the reigning queen.
I think today, Miss Nigeria, this is not only about the beauty, it's care about substance. And Chang'an will also care about hard power. We supply equal opportunity for women, so that is why we want to cooperate with Miss Nigeria.
I am extremely excited, but most importantly, I feel truly honored because it's not every day you become crowned Miss Nigeria. It's not every day you get a brand new Shangan, so it's something that I've had sleepless nights about, just being excited, waiting for this day to come, so I'm very grateful.
Chairman of the Miss Nigeria Board and Nollywood icon, Rita Dominic Anosike, spoke on the significance of the day.
Many women in our country are very intelligent. They have a lot to offer, beyond beauty. And giving them such a platform helps them to be that which they're meant to be.
With the Edo Plus now officially ours, Miss Nigeria is ready to cruise into a year of advocacy, elegance and empowerment, 1 mile at a time.
One of the things I advocate for is the provision of quality education and job opportunities for women because, like I said, I'm a product of one. And I feel like I wouldn't have gone this far in life without having those things. So I intend to try my best to empower as many girls and young women to go through that same process.
And with that sparkling speech and a strong message, the road ahead for the 45th Miss Nigeria looks nothing short of inspiring. In Lagos, for News Central, Israel Ifirobo.
The news returns in a moment. Don't go away. Away from Nigeria, Israeli airstrikes have killed at least 58 Palestinians in Gaza over the past 24 hours, with several children among the dead. This brings the death toll from Israel's genocidal war since October 2023 to 50,810. The United Nations has warned that Israeli attacks on Gaza are now killing or injuring 100 children a day. A ministry statement said that 213 more injured people were also transferred to hospitals in the last 24 hours, taking the number of the injured to 115,688 in the Israel onslaught. Now, Rwanda has commemorated the 1994 genocide that claimed the lives of at least 800,000 people, mostly from the Tutsi community, who were massacred by the Hutu militia. Speaking at the event, President Kagame assured that the genocide will never happen in Rwanda again, not because those who planned and facilitated it will not try to do so again, but because Rwandans have chosen to stand together so that it never happens again. In 2014, the United Nations and the African Union designated April 7 as a day of remembrance for the 1999 genocide against the Hutus. Adeniyi Kunu is an international journalist and policy analyst. He joins me now to discuss the Rwandan genocide, among other issues around its democracy. Good to have you on the news. The Rwandan government declared 7 days of reflection to mark this year's event. How significant is that?
Well, I want to say thank you first for having me in the program. I think that the Rwandan lesson, it's a lesson for every one of us, first on the African continent. It is because what resulted in the genocide that claimed over 800 lives was because a president was killed, and before we knew what was going on, it became killing spree between the Hutu and the Tutsi. But basically, we know those that suffered more in that genocide. Now, one of the things that Africa needs to take from there is that there are lots of things that still continues to happen on the continent that we're not paying attention to. You have to ask yourself, why was a president killed before the massacre ensued? If you go to other parts of the African continent, you see despotic leadership. If you go to Cameroon, for instance, in Central Africa, you find out that Cameroon has not learned the lesson from the Rwandan genocide. A president who cannot hold himself is leading them. A Senate president who cannot stand erect is leading them. The people that hold key positions in Cameroon are those that cannot even see the road clearly. Some people have been crying for many years that that shouldn't happen, but they've not been able to assimilate the lessons of the genocide there. That when it gets to a point, there is frustration. Frustration leads to anger, and anger leads to unpredictable outcomes. For Rwanda, I'm happy that there's been what I've described as proper evolution through what they've done. You know, there are lots of things that happened to Kagame took over power in 1994. And what has he been able to do? He's been able to, first of all, ensure that there's a healing process, enable what I described as proper reconciliation process, and he has paid key attention to the economy of Rwanda, such that the country has become a tourist hub. There's a reconscientization of people into the new identity of Rwanda, such that the pains and losses of the past have become something they've been able to uproot. 31 years, for goodness sake, 3 decades and one. So as far as I'm concerned, Rwanda remains an example for many African countries. For instance, there's a lot of division in Nigeria now. Don't make a mistake about it. And one of the things that could lead Nigeria into the kind of the Rwandan genocide that we see is what has been happening in recent times, where terrorists are taking over lands that do not belong to them, and they're entering into different farmlands. And the government looks away, and even terrorists are becoming part of societies, especially in the northern part of Nigeria, getting married, becoming those that hold traditional positions, and the government looks away. A situation where the government looks away from terrorists that carry AK-47 rifles and still arrest those that have to use guns to protect their own farm. The government is a joke. So we have to keep looking at what happened in Rwanda, not just the genocide, but the issues that predated the genocide. We had a Okuta panel in this country where some people felt they were bigger than the Okuta panel years ago to allow for some kind of reconciliation. So it means, therefore, that if Nigeria must heal, it has to be somebody who is completely lacking in sentiment for any religion, but very well emotional to the cause of Nigerians. So don't forget, Paul Kagame himself was a military officer who obviously went to war before he did that. But has been able to demonstrate, especially for people who never knew that he was in the military, that as a former military man who mediated the country into the reconciliation that is still enjoyed, is also somebody who is blind to the divisions created before the genocide between the Hutus and the Tutsi. So right now we're talking about 3 predominant tribes in Nigeria. You're talking about Igbo, Yoruba, Hausa.
Yeah, but Mr. Kuno, I mean, I could listen to you speak all day, but we are constrained. So please go ahead and talk about maybe not just the experience of genocide and what led to it, but the reconciliatory effort and this special designation of a memorial. What can other African countries, particularly Nigeria, learn from that?
I think we really need to have a unifying force in a leader of a country. The reason everybody accepts and actually admitted all of the things that happened during the reconciliation was simply because Paul Kagame was a unifying force. Nobody perceived him to be somebody who was supporting a particular tribe, a particular ethnic group, and that enabled them to see that clearly we wanted the country to unite. So I think the first thing we need to do is to have an elected leader who can unify the country, where nobody sees him or her, hopefully, as somebody who perhaps is taking sides or is not able to prosecute justice, among the respective hegemonies of Nigerian politics. So that's one. And another lesson for Africa, so I've talked about Nigeria, is that very little thing can trigger what results in, or what could result in the downfall of a regime. If you look at Northern Africa and you even look at the Arab Spring, it started evidently in Tunisia, where a 22-year-old graduate got himself involved in self-immolation. Then he moved to Egypt. In Egypt, you have Hosni Mubarak removed from office, you have Mohamed Morsi. Those are the kinds of things that happen if we don't prevent it. So for Nigeria and many African countries to not fall into the Rwandan example that resulted in the killing, we have to prevent every kind of disaffection in the country.
Mr. Kuno, at the heart of your submission is the quality of leadership that we get unbiased at the end of the day to get things done. Thank you very much for speaking with us. We have to leave it there for now.
Thank you for the privilege of being on the show. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You're most welcome. Business News is next after this short break. Stay with us. Joanna is here for the latest business update. What should we be expecting, Joanna?
Well, we have news that debt servicing is going up significantly, and there are concerns around what this would mean for the exchange rates, what it would mean for our foreign reserves. I'll bring you the details on that after this break.
Okay.
Business News in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
And in Q4 2024, in the fourth quarter of 2024, Nigeria's external debt service obligation increased significantly from the previous quarter to $1.08 billion. This is according to the data released by the Debt Management Office. A total of $600.71 million, or 55.7% of the total debt service during this time, was paid by Nigeria to multilateral lenders. The International Monetary Fund received the largest payment of any creditor, receiving $407.97 million. Nigeria's growing external debt service commitments coincide with growing worries about the sustainability of the nation's debt, currency rate volatility, and pressures on the foreign reserves. And in South Africa, a farmers group on Tuesday said that tariffs imposed by the U.S. President Donald Trump will harm citrus farming in South Africa and may result in the loss of 35,000 jobs. When Trump announced a 10% baseline duty on all imports and higher targeted charges on dozens of nations on April 2nd, he levied a 31% tariff on South African products into the United States. According to a statement from the Citrus Growers Association of Southern Africa, the new tax will increase the price of each carton by $4.50, reducing the competitiveness of South African citrus in the United States market. And coming to the local bourse, we're seeing a reversal of yesterday's gains, yesterday's losses. Today we're seeing gains. The market is up 0.15%. All share index 104,376.73, and the market cap 65.589 trillion naira. Banking stocks are taking the shine, and of course are to give the credit for the rebound we're seeing today. If we come to the sectoral performances, we can see that banking stocks are up significantly, industrial stocks are flat, and insurance is down significantly. If we have that come up in just a moment. But hopefully we see the gains, right? Banking up Insurance down, oil and gas 0.04%, consumer goods 0.16%, and industrial goods 0.11% gain today. That's it on business tonight. I am Joanna Mustafa. Tonight continues with Felicity.
Business news in association with Money Master PSB, the easy way to master your money.
Something is up with table tennis in Nigeria, and Favor is here to bring us all the update. Favor, what's going on?
All right, yes, the Hopes ITTF tournament kickstarts in the next few days as the Nigerian Table Tennis Federation have released 8 players that will participate in the tournament. Many more after this timeout.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
First edition of the Niger Delta Sports Festival ended today in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State, with finals in football, athletics, and wrestling in the very last event of the festival. David Akalu anchored the Edo State 4x400 meters quartet to clinch gold medal. Team Bayelsa emerged overall champions, dominating with 42 gold, 29 silver, and 15 bronze medals. Delta State came second with 41 gold, 26 silver, and 32 bronze, while Edo State finished third with 23 gold, 35 silver, and 31 bronze medals. Host Akwa Ibom placed sixth with 9 gold, 14 silver, and 14 bronze. For their win, Team Bayelsa State won 50 million naira as the most outstanding state contingent. Chairman of the Niger Delta Sports Commission, Chiebu AB, announced that the main organizing committee will make a recommendation to the board of the Niger Delta Development Commission to make the festival a biannual event. Away from there now to table tennis, the Nigeria Table Tennis Federation, NTTF, has selected 8 cadet players, 4 boys and 4 girls, to represent the country at the 2025 ITTF Africa Hopes Week and Challenge set for July in Lagos. Now, the selection followed a 6-day training camp and a 2-day tournament at the National Training Centre and National Stadium, Lagos. A total of 25 under-12 players from across Nigeria participated in the program, supported by the International Table Tennis Federation and ITTF Africa. In the boys singles, Samson Joshua from Kogi State defeated Umar Ayola from Oyo State by 4 games to 2, while Elizabeth Emilike of Abia State defeated Deborah Faleye from Edo State 4-1 in the girls' final. Lagos-based Juwon Ogunshaki, Abib Adebayo, and Shemilore Oweya and Emanuela Aibu completes Nigeria's team. Away from table tennis, we'll go straight to the world of chess, where Nigerian chess players signed at the FIDE Zone 4.2 Chess Championship with standard performances across the board. After the final day of action in Ikeja, Lagos on Tuesday, Abdulrahman Akintoye came out on top, finishing first in the competition. Right behind him was Olisa Tenisin, who grabbed second place after defeating the tournament's highest-rated player, Ortega Mariano. Men's national champion Tessie Ferdinand also made a strong showing, finishing in 4th place. The impressive results have set the stage for Thursday's highly anticipated Super Zonal Championship. And now to basketball. Rivers Hoopers fell 100 to 80 points to Al Ittihad Alexandria in their 3rd game of the 2025 Basketball Africa League Kalari Conference in Rabat, Morocco. The Nigerian side, coming off wins against Stade Malien and FUS Rabat, struggled with turnovers and poor transition defense, allowing the Egyptians to dominate from long range. Al Ittihad's Kylie Vinales led all scorers with 26 points and 7 rebounds, punishing the Hoopers in key stretches. For the Nigerian side, Madut Akek led the fight with 18 points and 4 rebounds, with Rafael Pontnin adding 17 points. The Nigerian champions will now look to bounce back in their rematch against Morocco's FUS Rabat on Thursday, April 10th. And that wraps it up on Sports Update. And Favor Itua, the news continues with Felicity.
Sports Update, brought to you by Corn Oil. Corn Oil, we go the extra mile.
Burna Boy is in the news again. Sam Dandy is here with all the details. What did he do this time?
I wish it was a new record that he's broken, but somehow, before his project, he finds a way to say something controversial. And Nigerians are reacting to this one. Okay. I'll give you all the details after this quick break.
Entertainment news in association with Glow Unlimited.
Now let's get into the details. Grammy-winning Nigerian star Burna Boy is still in the news. He's stirring conversation again, and this time it's for saying that having the #1 song in Nigeria isn't worth celebrating. In a now viral Instagram story, the City Boys crooner advised upcoming artists not to be swayed by Twitter polls and Nigeria's social media fans, saying, and I quote, "They won't fill up any stadium for you in any part of the world." He went ahead to then compare the value of 1 million Nigerian streams, equivalent to about $300 to $400, and the value in the US and the UK, equivalent to about $3,000 or $4,000, a stark difference in payout. According to the African giant, real success lies beyond local charts, and artists should either aim higher or do other business on the side. Now, although some netizens took the advice as a global strategy, others have called out his condescending tone, especially as this isn't the first time he's been accused of downplaying local support. From once saying no one paved the way for him to describing Afrobeats as nothing, saying it lacks substance. With his 8th studio album, No Sign of Weakness, on the way, it seems Burna Boy is once again leaning into controversy to make some noise. Nigerians have reacted to this one. Let's take a bit of reactions. This one by Big Ayo. Big Ayo says, Burna Boy is a good artist, but the way he, on an average Nigerian as a whole, at every single opportunity is weird. He is too big a superstar to be moving that way. What do you mean Nigerian streams don't matter? This one by Tife says, your song doing #1 on Nigerian streaming platforms is something to celebrate. There was a time Burna Boy was praying for his songs to do #1 on Niger platforms. Take your growth step by step, zero pressure. Well, let's not lie. I mean, while he's controversial, Burna Boy is the first Nigerian artist to headline a stadium in America, first African to headline a stadium in the UK. In fact, according to touring data, Burna Boy beat his 2022 record after he generated $1.593 million for a show in America. I don't know. It's just controversy. Should we take it as that or good advice?
I personally think it's just advice misunderstood, or maybe the framing was misunderstood. But how about you look at it? So long as you're a celebrity, whatever you say, there's always somebody who has something to pick with you.
That's right. That's right. Well, we're looking forward to his album dropping. At least maybe then we can talk about records and not controversy. Well, that's what you can take on entertainment. I am Sam Dandy.
That's all we have for you tonight. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. The Borno State Governor, Babagana Zulum, has raised concerns over infiltration of foreign terrorists in the northeast. Federal High Court in Port Harcourt has barred the Rivers State sole administrator from appointing heads of local government areas. Also in the news, 58 Palestinians have been killed in latest attacks on Gaza as Israeli leader orders closure of 6 schools in occupied Jerusalem. Do send us your eyewitness reports to the numbers showing now on your screen. We'd love to hear from you as well on all social media platforms. That's at News Central TV. You can watch us live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274. We're on Abo TV and on YouTube. Thank you very much for your time. Have a good night.